ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Digital Den. Today we are honored and we are grateful to be joined by legendary Spencer County High School football coach, Coach Marksbury.
What an intro.
Coach Marksbury, thank you for joining us. How are you feeling today?
Well, first of all, this is awesome. This is a neat experience here. I wasn't expecting this many people, and hey, this is a professional setup. So y'all got this thing rocking here.
Only the best. Only the best for Coach Marksbury.
No,
so
you all got it.
the new season's on the horizon. Before we get into what we have coming up, we want to give you the chance to address what happened last year. A really, really exciting team, a team that really had a community behind them. Just final remarks about that team.
Well, you go into every year and you think we had a lot of kids back last year, so the expectations were high. But with anything, quite honestly, you need to have a little luck. You need to have some skill. You need to have some luck, and kind of the luck bug got us at the end. With the injury to Cam and then Jonathan into the playoffs. And once you get in deep into the playoffs, you start playing some really good teams. And when you don't have all your players, it just makes it. Or our kids battled; they did everything they could, but when we drew Franklin County in the second round, I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough chore to beat them. But our kids battled, and the season was exciting. 10-2, just the most wins in school history. That group of seniors accomplished a lot. Basically, a lot of them started as they were sophomores. And they've built a culture and a tradition and everything like that we have to live up to this year.
Yeah. So as you've bounced back in this offseason, as you mentioned, a phenomenal group of seniors, definitely a legacy group. We've had to fill those spots, and those are big shoes to fill, or big cleats, if you will.
Yeah, right.
How is that locker room feeling?
It's just a different group. I mean, last year's senior group was very emotional. I mean, they were. They brought the juice all the time. So they were very, you always kind of knew, like, when game time hit, they were locked in, and they were bouncing off the walls and everything like that. This group is just different. It's just, and it's not in a bad way. It's just very business-like, a lot more. They just kind of like punch their clock and go do their thing. And it's a little less emotion day in and day out, but they're very strong leaders in the locker room with our senior group and everything like that. So, but yeah, replacing people like Cam and Gabe and Nolan Boston's and Bryce Rourke's, and I'm going to leave somebody out, but replacing those guys it's a huge chore.
Absolutely. This offseason, this summer, you take the guys to Campbellsville University. Obviously, you've had your own personal camp here,
right?
And you mentioned a much more toned down group emotionally wise, but as far as progress and getting ready for the game coming up Saturday, like how would they do this whole summer from where they started to where they ended? How'd all that go?
Well, first of all, we go to camp. I think we went to camp every year except the COVID year, and it's just something I think it's very important for us. It's a period of time there where we're gone for 4 days. We get all the kids, everybody's at camp. We don't have any absences. We don't have anybody missing practice. We're focused on football and getting our work done. So you really grow as a team, and both on the field and off the field, which is tremendous. I mean, they walk to the breakfast together. They walk back to their dorms together. There's bonding. There's work being done on the field. Practices at 6 in the morning, so we're getting them up at 5:30 in the morning. So that's it's just, I find it really important. It's a huge part of our program, and I think it builds our culture. And it also, we get a lot better at camp. We get a lot better at camp, and that leads into when we come back. And when we come back from camp, we go right into the school year, and our first scrimmage is usually the next week when we come back. So it's extremely beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's time we put some names behind these faces. You mentioned the Gabes, the Bryces, the Nolans, the Cams. Right. What are the names coming in this 2023 year that you think everybody should get to know?
Well, of course, you got Kellen, who is our only skill guy that has made significant contributions on Friday night. He's actually performed on Friday nights in a varsity game.
Absolutely.
Outside of that, we've got a lot of new faces back there that we have a lot of confidence in, but not Friday, Saturday for our first game. I mean, these guys are going to be out there for the first time on a varsity game, and got Jarrett Stewart at quarterback. Jarrett has looked phenomenal in practices and in the scrimmage. His accuracy, throwing probably the one thing that stood out to us was his overall composure and the way he handles himself in the huddle with his teammates and everything like that. And he's really a leader, and he's a winner, and that's really important. And then of course we have Nick Stowe, who's coming back, who I think led the world in tackles last year. He had 155. So so this will be his third year starting. He's again just very workmanlike approach with Nick. He shows up, he puts a lot of time in learning his craft and learning the other team and everything like that. And by Fridays, when the ball's kicked off, he probably knows what plays the offense is going to run before they run them. So, and you got Drew Barron will be playing wide receiver. He'll be taking over where Bryce played last year. So that's very athletic. He's made some plays in the offseason. Actually our first touchdown of the scrimmage over at Campbellsville. He caught that touchdown pass. So there's another weapon, an athlete, and Eric Henry at tight end. Eric's been here before, so he knows our system. He's a phenomenal blocker. He caught a touchdown in the scrimmage. So again, those are all. Keenan Carnes has looked really good at linebacker. He's really good shape, playing fast. And I guess probably the biggest surprise so far, I would venture a guess, would be Brady Smith. I mean, Brady Smith had a really good scrimmage last week in Bourbon County. And, those are all the skill guys that we're having to replace, because we're replacing 8 starters on offense. So, I mean, that's a lot. So, 8 out of 11 guys we're replacing. So that's a lot. But the one thing in football, most of all, you have to be good up front, and especially on the defensive line. I really think our defensive line has a chance to be really good and really active. White Locker, Jacob Blancett, Ian Blanford, Josiah Cox. I'm gonna leave somebody out, get in trouble. Jacob Biller. All those guys are really have come along, and they're really aggressive. And then on the offensive line, we're having to replace Michael Cowan, Chase Simonis, who's probably one of the best offensive linemen we've ever, with his speed and athleticism that we've ever had. So we've got to replace those guys. Connor. So on offense, coming back this year, we have 3 guys: Kellen, Connor Dawson, and Tanner Shue. Those are only 3 guys that contributed significantly last year on the offense. So you're replacing 8 guys, so we've got to but look, they've progressed, and we're excited. We think we've got things going in the right direction, and it'll be probably there'll be some nerves on Saturday when we kick off, because Hart County's really good. So when we kick off, there'll be a little nerves. Kyle Brensel's back, handling the extra points and kickoffs, or the extra points, and then Tommy Childress has come out and done our kicking. I mean, he's busting the ball on kickoffs and on punts, so that's huge. So that's. I'm sure I left somebody out, but those are the names that everybody should be excited about.
Well, it sounds like we should be excited about the whole entire roster, just from the sounds of it. So, I mean, the players are going to play the games, and they're going to be the names we cheer for and get behind, but who's preparing them and, getting them ready for these games is the coaching staff. So, outside of your illustrious name and, everything you have going for you, who are some of those other guys that you have joining you in those coaching meetings?
Well, I will say that it's exciting. This is my 13th year, so and our staff is phenomenal, and they're the ones that do the work. I mean, you don't really realize when you become a head coach, sometimes coaching becomes a little bit secondary because of all the administrative stuff that you have to do. But we are blessed. We're blessed here with the coaching staff that we have. Coach Eldridge is our defensive coordinator, does a phenomenal job. This is his 3rd year as our defensive coordinator. He played here. He teaches here in the building. Coach Hall, of course, everybody sees him in the building. Right. This is his maybe 53rd year coaching overall. Coach Wider is retired from JCPS as an athletic director and former head coach. We have Coach Iyer, who is new to us. He teaches math here. Comes to us from Whitley County. He's former head coach at Whitley County. So Coach Wider and Coach Iyer are both former head coaches that are on the staff. Colin Inman teaches in our district also. He's in our district. And then Mike Crescent came over to us. He lives in the county, lives in the community. He's coached at Collins and was part of their staff when they won a state championship. And he came out and just wanted to work with our quarterbacks and kickers a little bit. So he's been doing that, and it's honored to have him. And the great thing about it is when all students in this school, when they have an opportunity, I think coaches in the building make a big difference. I think coaches in the building are good teachers and everything like that. But with myself, Coach Hall, Coach Iyer, and Coach Eldridge, that's 4 of our coaches that are in the building. And I think that's huge for our program, for our school, and it just helps. I think it just helps all the way around, and it's a huge investment by our administration that makes, to give our coaches the opportunity to be in the building, and if they so choose.
And it struck me when we were getting ready for this interview, looking at the history of Spencer County football and seeing just the impact that you and your staff and really just this new era has made on the success and I think the fandom. I think especially since I've been here, it has just grew in just 3 years alone. And in recent years, it's been phenomenal. So coming into this year, obviously, a little unexperienced and nerves might hurt us, but what are some of those other areas when you talk about X's and O's where, this is what we have to work on and this is where it's going to be a process throughout the year?
Well, I think the hardest thing usually your defense is always going to be ahead of your offense, but this year probably a little bit more so, just because when you break your offensive line is just really, it's something that it takes you a while to bring along. It's just because a lot of people think you go out there and when you line up, the people across from them are lining up in the same place every time and doing the same. Well, they're not. They're lining up in different places and they're moving different places, and those guys have to think really quick, and they have to be a tight-knit group and a unit and understand what everybody's doing. So that's probably but they're getting better, and we've had a bunch of people that we've been moving in and out on the offensive line, and we think we've got that stabilized right now, and so we'll see how that goes. But it just takes time for those guys to understand and play together and everything like that. They're great kids. They have all the talent. We just, it's kind of like pieces on a chessboard where we're trying to move them around and move them from tackle to center and everything, just trying to figure out where they fit. And I think we've got it now, and we'll see Saturday.
Yeah. Now we get to talk about the fun part. What are the good things? Like, what are the aspects of this team that are going to be special? What's gonna lead us to those exciting Friday night wins?
Well, I think we're athletic in some key spots. I think we have speed with Drew and with Kellen. If we can get Kellen in space, he's going to. It's going to, generally lead to good things. So that's, a lot. It would be bad coaching if we weren't trying to do that. So we've got some things where we can get him in space, and he's not very big, so it's not like we're going to run him up the middle a bunch or anything like that. So, but I think with our passing game, and I think we're going to be a little bit more balanced than we've been in the past. It's been one of those things we always, we had a stable full of backs, so we just played to that. We had so many of them back there. We just you never knew who was going to get it. We just went out there and let everybody kind of get a piece of the pie, and it always worked out. And then I just think the one thing about it is just the kids. It's kind of the culture, and they enjoy playing for the community. And as all of our sports teams should. It's a remarkable thing, and I go back to just I guess it was last week, the day before school started, when we had the boys soccer out there in the DeSales thing. That place was packed, and They did a lot of good things out there, and that's what we want to, we encourage our kids to support other sports, and it's the way it should be. And but yeah, it should be exciting. But our schedule is very difficult, so it's not easy. So
you say that word culture, and there's a interview clip last year of Gabe Bowling, I believe after an exciting Collins win, and he says it's a brotherhood. I love these guys. And I think the community sees it, that there is a culture on that field. I just want you to dive more into that. When did maybe that shift happen over your long tenure, and why does it continue to show up year in, year out?
Well, the first thing you have to do, it's not, I think it was like Dr. Foster said at our open house, I guess culture beats strategy and all that stuff, and I think that's a very true statement. But I think you just have to understand, look, you're not always going to be attended to. It's just not always going to happen. We're a one-horse town, and when you come in, there's sometimes things are going to go against you. Sometimes you're going to have injuries and everything. It's not always going to be a bed of roses. It's not. I just feel like that if you hold them accountable, you practice hard, you show up to practice, you do things the right way. Look, people are going to look out onto the field or the court or the baseball diamond or on the track or on the golf course, and they're going to sit there and say, you know what, those kids are playing the game the right way. And when the talent and everything meshes, and the culture and the opportunity and the talent, when everything comes together, you're going to have special seasons. Now then, it's not a guarantee. It's not always going to happen. Look, you could do everything right and you could end up 3-7, but that's not because of the lack of effort by the kids or the coaches or anything like that. It just sometimes happens. And but I'm very proud of our program. I'm very proud of the fact that, like last year, trying to put our schedule together, it was very difficult because, it's no secret, we were the only team to beat the 6A state champs last year. So, that's a big deal. And every time I would call somebody to try to schedule a game, they let me know that we were the only team to beat them. So I think our program is very, not only here in the community, I think when you go outside the surrounding counties and everything like that, our program has a strong reputation, and we play good football. And our kids play the right way. They play hard. And all of our sports, our basketball, our soccer, our baseball, everybody plays hard. They do it the right way.
Yeah. Talking about not being tended to in the culture and going beyond motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Motivation's probably been a bit easier this
Mm-hmm.
offseason, given
Mm-hmm.
that we have a new district.
Mm-hmm.
And looking at the schedule, it is just a gauntlet of a schedule.
Mm-hmm.
The majority of our tougher games are away games, and it is an absolute, it's going to be a very, very fun season. So what can you tell us about, preparing this team for a season for a whole, being in that new district, given that even though we did beat that Bullet East team that went on to win the state championship last year, a lot of people aren't giving Spencer County much of a shot. What could you speak on that?
Well, it's just kind of the way it is. We always say we're the best kept secret. There's a lot of people that don't understand what we have going on. And when I say that, I'm not talking just football. I'm talking about basketballs and soccers and baseballs, everything. It's a total school effect here. But our schedule's tough. I think I saw something in the Courier Journal last week. I think our first 4 opponents, last year's record was like 37-15 or something like that. So it's one of the more difficult schedules. Hart County, which we open up with, has that's the best team they've ever had. This team this year in the history of the school, this is the best team they've ever had. So they're coming in very confident and everything like that, but I think we'll be ready. And then of course we have Collins week 2, and we go over there. Collins is recognizing their 2013 state championship team tonight. We're over there, so that ought to be a big crowd over there for that. And then we come home Labor Day weekend and play a really, really good South Holden team that's been to like the state semifinals probably 5 times out of the last 10 years. And then we have Fairdale, who seems to go win 10 or 11 games every year when they come out here. So and then you get into the district. Usually our districts are 4 or 5 teams, but this year's district is 6 teams. And I would think Franklin County's probably the clear favorite. They've been a team that's accomplished a lot in the postseason over the last 5 to 8 years. So we're not I'd say that in the pecking order, it's probably them, and then off probably us right there behind them. I think it had us and Shelby picked in a tie for second, and then we also have North Oldham, Western Hills, and Henry County. And Henry County's been on our schedule for ever since I've been here. So that's not a new opponent to us. Western Hills we haven't played them since I've been here. North Oldham used to be in our district, and of course Shelby, we played in the first round of the playoffs last year, and then Franklin County used to be in our district, and so it's going to be tough. There's no easy games on there, but that's the way we like it.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's one important game this week. This Saturday at Nelson County, we play Hart County, opening up the new campaign. Let's just dive into that game real quick. You say that's going to be an amazing team, the best they've had.
Yes.
And we have a team that is going to show up and expectedly under the lights. Might have to adjust a little bit. Might have to take a few minutes. So what's the preparation been like, recently, heading out of the offseason into the season? And what's it been like in those talks in the locker room getting ready for Saturday?
Well, I think our kids the offense that we're going to go against in them is kind of similar to ours a little bit, but they have, I think, 9 starters back on each side of the ball. So that's that, and they went, I believe, 9-4 last year. So they're feeling very confident as they should. But they've got a defense that their offense is very similar to ours, and our kids will be able to recognize it. Defensively, they kind of like to bring some pressure on you and stuff like that, which sometimes they'll get you. That's all well and good when they bring pressure. Sometimes they're going to get you, which is fine, but sometimes you can crease them and have a big play. So that's kind of a double-edged sword. So, but yeah, it's part of a bowl game. It's a 2-year contract that we're in. It's called the Don Franklin Bowl, and it's going to be a big event, and I'm excited for our kids to be able to play in it. And yeah, but it's going to be a huge task. I mean, first of all, it's 5:30 on Saturday, and I don't know how hot it's going to be, but I'm sure it's going to be rather warm at 5:30 on a Friday on that turf, or Saturday on that turf. So, but that's probably something we'll have to deal with. I don't know if it ends up starting on time, but our kids are prepared. They understand. Yesterday, actually, we were kind of nervous because of the weather, all the rain that had come in. We weren't nervous that we were going to be able to get out, but hey, we were able to get out and have a full practice. So we feel like we were fortunate to get that day in. So we got a lot accomplished, and I felt really good the way we practiced yesterday. It's all just like in any team sport. It's all preparation and communication and all that stuff, and you just prepare, and then on Friday the opportunity is going to come, or on Saturday this week the opportunity is going to come, and you just hope that the preparation is there, and the game really probably will come down to who takes care of the football. You can't turn it over and stuff like that, and probably whoever wins the turnover battle will probably win the game. But we're excited. I mean, we know they're very confident in their team, but I think we've got a quiet confidence about our team.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the most exciting times of the year. School gets back. Everyone's both really excited about that, and then Spencer County loves them some football.
Yeah, it's a small town. It's a small town. It's a community event, and we've got a lot going on. I mean, it's been a busy week here on campus with volleyball scrimmage, and I think volleyball's on Thursday. And we've had multiple soccer games out there, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think both of our soccer teams are. I think they're both undefeated. If I'm not, have y'all? 2-0, both of them. That's what I thought. Both of them are undefeated. So there you go.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
off
to a good start. So, but yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah. You've been at it for 13 years. I'm sure you have some sort of process you go to kind of keep yourself level-headed as much as possible.
Right.
But you're right, it's hard not to get excited. And I know everybody that's going to be dressed on Saturday is just ready to get at it. But for you personally, I want to, we throw around the name Helen a lot.
Yeah.
But we're not bringing up his last name, which is also Marksbury. He's got a son who's a senior, and also he's really, really good at football as well. What has that whole dynamic been like this year, getting ready for one last run with your boy?
Are you trying to get me emotional? Is that what you're trying to do here? Well, first of all, yeah, he's okay. He's pretty good. But the first thing, coaching your son is not always the easiest thing to do. I was very fortunate when he come through school. I think I might have coached like a third grade basketball team up one year, and then one year in his little league, his coach in little league football, his coach was unable to coach him at the last minute, and they looked at all the parents and said, "Is anybody here willing to coach?" And everybody kind of looked at me, so I got stuck coaching like the fifth grade football team.
Right.
And but it's tough, and the key thing for me was when he came over here as a freshman was for him to fit in the locker room. Yeah. You know, I couldn't have it. I didn't want it because I wanted him to enjoy the experience of being in that locker room with his teammates, those guys respecting him and knowing that he earned everything he got. I never wanted it to be, hey, he's this or he's that or he's got to start. So him fitting in the locker room and enjoying the entire experience was the most important thing for me. And then you go on, and then all of a sudden when he was in middle school, you just didn't really know what he was going to do. And then all of a sudden his talent started coming out and his instincts and all of that stuff. And so once that happened, you know, it kind of took care of itself, because not only, you always say when you're coaching your son or your daughter, you hope that they're so good that everybody in the stands sees it, or they're so bad that you as a parent can see it. It's kind of when they're right in the middle, that's when it gets tough. So, but he was, he was able to have some success and everything like that. It just took care of itself. I mean, it's been a great experience for him. It's been a great experience for me, and he wouldn't have it any other way than to be here. And he was very close with his senior group last year, very, very close with them, and they had a great bond. And so yeah, this is his, and he's very respectful of the chain of command. It's like he was a junior, and he knew it was the seniors team. So he was just, hey, it's about them. It's not about me. It's about them. Same thing in basketball. It's about the seniors. It's about them. It was about Bryce. It was about Jonathan. And, and that for him, that's the way he viewed it. He wanted to do whatever he could to help his seniors out. And now he's a senior, and I think he's putting all those things that he's taken from all the seniors that he's been able to experience things through. He's kind of put it into his thing, and I think he's had a really good off season, and he's shown some great leadership skills, and hopefully he has a pretty good year.
Yeah, I mean, Kellen, when you do what Kellen does, he has become a superstar on the Friday Night Lights. Everybody knows that once the ball gets in his hands, it's usually going to go well for the guys in blue. So I think, I'm biased, of course, but I think our student section and I think our fans are some of the best that you can find. If not in the state, I mean, just anywhere really. The passion and the consistency to show up. So I want to give you an opportunity to address them. If you want to ask them for anything, if you want to tell them anything going into this 2023 year, what would you say to your
Well, keep supporting all the sports, all of them. And, anytime there's an opportunity for an event here at our school, hey, come out and support them. I will say this, I'll tell another, yes, Friday nights here are special. And I will tell a little story, and you'll know the school. I think you know the school so it was, I don't know, so many years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, there was a coach from your old high school that was out here scouting a game. And he was out there, and after the game, he sees me, and he says, "Coach, we have 2,000 students. We have 125 football players. We have the nicest facilities. We have this, we have that." But he said, "We don't have this." And it was just packed stands, students everywhere. The band, the cheer, the dance, students, the administration, the faculty, just the overall school experience. And that's what it is. I mean, athletics, clubs, be it football, soccer, band, dance, cheer, FFA, JROTC, everything is about the high school experience. And and I just hope and wish that all kids, our podcast team, take an active role in the high school experience, because it's special.
Yeah, absolutely. 13 years, a legendary career. Thank you for joining us for our first show. August 19th at Nelson County High School, 5:30, Spencer County football opener. Make sure to show up, pack the stands. Thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you all.
absolutely.